From the Wayne County Courthouse in Goldsboro, North Carolina, Wayne Goldsboro Television brings you the meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. The meeting begins shortly with an agenda briefing, then the regular meeting will begin soon after. Please stand by for the Wayne County Board of Commissioners meeting.
Good morning, and welcome back, World Traveler.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, got their agenda this morning. Mr. Gurley, you got an invitation?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Bailey, you got the pledge. And I do know we got some additions to the agenda this morning.
Right, we've got three. The first one is Noel Woods is asking that y'all add this one. This is, I believe all of you have a copy of it. Is that right?
They don't yet, no.
Okay, let's hand those out. This is dealing with a property that we own jointly with the city of Goldsboro, and the value is $135,000. They received an offer for $67,500, which is their half. Their policy says they can accept half of the value.
Thank you.
So they're asking that you approve this. They've already gone through the 10-day upset bid. They don't have any upset bids on it. So again, you would split the $67,500 on this one. And it's on North Oak Forest Road.
Where'd you want to add that? To the new business?
I think new business. So that would be number 7. It would be property sale. The next thing we have is we'd like to add this. Fred is coming. Fred Fontana is here to go over the study and 5-year NCDOT Community Transportation Service Plan. We'd like to add to that, if we could, is just 1A is a second one, and this is the Rural Operating Assistance Program. This came in at the 11th hour, and we need to have y'all authorize me to sign off on this. Fred will go into that on detail. So this is the ROAP Rural Op funding.
Mr. Chairman, are you going to need a motion to approve that?
Yeah, motion to authorize the manager to sign off on it is what they require on this form. And then the third thing is we're going to have someone from DSS. I think Earl is going to be here. Earl Merritt is going to be here. This is to go over a proposal, and she's given those out also. This is on the 5-day work week, the 5-day work schedule that we've been working on. And so Earl will be here to go over that with you and go into some detail and answer any questions you might have on that.
You want to make that 8?
I would make that 8, yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
depending on how it goes when Earl gets here, would it be possible to maybe look at moving this up the ladder a little bit so Earl can go back
That's
to work?
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whenever he gets there, we'll
Thank you, sir.
good suggestion. Anything else?
This is not a three things. Is that all good back there?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Ms. Baycott?
This is not an action item, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, if you don't mind, could I
Yeah.
expand on that a little bit?
Sure.
The reason that wanted to bring this to the commission, I know we have agreed a couple of years ago to go to a 5-day work week. What I wanted to do for transparency reasons is to get the board to see exactly what's going to take place on the 5-day work week in DSS. You probably don't have to approve, but I would like to, just as a matter of being a part of what we're doing at DSS. And I would like for the board to approve it contingent upon the approval of the DSS board. Keep in mind, this came out Wednesday after our agenda meeting on Tuesday. And so Our DSS is meeting tomorrow, but I think as a straw vote, the DSS board is going to go along with this, and the key here is that if we don't get it done, I don't want to put this off as chairman of DSS until October. The employees have known for 3 months since Earl's been here that this 5-day work week was coming the first part of September, and so it's time for us to go ahead and get it done, and that's the reason I'm bringing it to the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
my only concern is I don't want to see pie on our face if we vote on something and then the DSS board doesn't vote for it. I mean, I understand Mr. Mayo says that he thinks they will, but I do whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Well, Mr. Earl Merritt has stated this, and he's already got everything in place. It's just a matter of formality as far as the board is concerned. Of course, the board can do, but am I correct, Mr. Parker, that the board doesn't really have to vote on this?
Right, well, I think when you and I spoke earlier, we talked about having the Board of Commissioners voting on it, approving it contingent upon the approval of the DSS board. And Mr. Aycock, I think that would solve your problem.
Okay.
But I think what Mr. Mayo is saying, clearly the DSS board has been discussing it and expects that it's going into place, and every person that I've talked to at DSS is expecting it to start the Tuesday after Labor Day.
September 5th is when the start date.
Is that your opinion too, Mr. Dollar?
It is. In fact, I can speak generally for the board. They are in support of this.
It's something that started when I was over there.
We just didn't have time to vote on it before the commissioners and implement it by September the 5th.
That is
We want to get this thing going on September the 5th.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
When the DSS board, and I hear you referring back to the DSS department, but it sounds heavily that the DSS board may have decided this what was going to happen. My question is, what input did the workers have in it, and do you have any numbers or percents or anything about what their input was? Because you do use that word transparency, and there's a little tint of, I just wonder if it is as transparent as we would love it to be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Could I address that question?
Sure, absolutely.
If you, Mr. Camardo, would you read the handout as far as the study from Pat Cameron and Sharon Scott from Exec Link? It says, I'm going to read just part of this first paragraph. On June 20th, 2017, Sharon Scott and I met with the senior management and supervisor of the Department of Social Services regarding the development of a work schedule for the agency to be open 5 days per week, Monday through Friday. They have come to Wayne County, that was part of their contract, was to recommend to the DSS board a work schedule that was suitable to meet the 5-day work week. And this is what they did. And what happened is that Mr. Earl Merritt is 100% knows about this. He's in favor of it. And all the employees have known for 3 months that this is going to take place. The employees are actually expecting this to happen September 5th. So if you remember, we put it off for a couple of years overall because of Northwoods training and different things. So everybody is aware up front that this was going to take place through meetings, and Mr. Merritt's going to be here in order to answer any other questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo, but the fact still remains that it sounds top-heavy versus all-inclusive. And when you use the language that everyone has always known from some such date that this is going to happen on this date, there is a level of direction versus inclusion, and that's the point that I was making. It just sounds top-heavy. And the last thing is that I know we've moved back towards a 5-day work week, but up to this point, unless just because my memory is awful, I hadn't heard anyone say that there was any loss in production and loss in service to the public by any department because we did not have a full 5-day work in place. And although we all know there are inconveniences in spots and places in every organization, but I just have not heard that there was a loss in production or in access by the public to get their services while the 4-day work week was in place. And I just asked that question,
Mr. Park.
not as
I'm sorry.
not as a condemnation of going back to the first 5-day work week, just to wonder out loud if there was something that we were losing because of the 4-day.
Mr. Parker, if you'll help me remember, because you were there when I was on the board, and we voted to go to the 5-day work week for the entire board.
Yes.
And then the board, after I left, decided to delay the implementation because of the implementation of Northwoods. So really, a vote's already been taken.
That is correct, and the previous director had gotten information from all the employees as to when they would prefer to work, if there was a staggered work week, and an attempt to see whether or not there could be some staggering. And Mr. Merritt has done the same thing, and I think he will be able to explain that to you when he comes in.
Yes.
So if I hear you correctly, Mr. Attorney, there will be opportunities for staggering, or there will be discussion?
There will be discussion. It's not as easy at the Department of Social Services as it is at the Health Department, where they had some staggering, because you can, if you have a clinic at the Health Department, you can let everybody be there then, and then if you're not going to have that clinic on Friday, people that would be in the clinic would not have to work on Friday. The social services has to be fully staffed all the time that the doors are open. And as you're aware from when you were on the board, you've got employees who have to work on call in case somebody calls in the middle of the night saying that there's a child or a disabled adult in danger.
And while we had and this has always been a question about while we had the 4-day work week in place, are there documented times when those people who needed that call in the middle of the night were not served because of the
No,
4-day?
they were always served.
They were always served.
The law requires the department to serve those people.
That's right.
Thank you.
And the youth through the department.
I think the issue was that when you were closed that one day of the week, clearly people did not have access to the normal services. They would have always had emergency services because we're required to meet those. But I'm talking about just the day-to-day services. Same problem we had at the health department, that when they were closed that 5th day, people could not access the department. And so what we went to there was where every department had to be open 5 days a week, with the one exception of the clinic, I believe, which is closed on Friday. But the clinic at the health department is done on an appointment basis. So nobody was denied service there because you have to call and make an appointment anyway, and they just don't schedule them on Friday. But here, the emphasis has always been on, we want the service to be available to the public 5 days a week. And that doesn't mean you can't have some staggered work schedules, because we've done that at the health department as well.
I think for Mr. Herring's benefit and mine, since 2 of us live in Mount Olive, I'm going to petition one of our drugstores not to close on Saturday, because that's going to limit my access to medicine on Saturday evening. I'm just being a smart guess this morning. I understand all the...
Smart what?
You did get that, Steve.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for wasting. I always wanted to ask those questions in terms of when we move back from the 4-day. I'm gonna get quicker for that word. When we move back from that, I always just wondered to myself, Mr. Manager, if number one, we lost something by moving back. Number two, and I know majority rules, did the majority of the employees feel like not that they can control it, but a place of work is not just top down, it's bottom up too. I just always want to be sure that we give, that everyone had an opportunity to have some input, and I know the board can, and I'm not talking about this board, I know the DSS board can vote for things, and when I was there, I probably voted to continue with the study. I don't remember voting to absolutely bless it, but that wouldn't matter if my vote wasn't in the majority. But thank you, Mr. Mayo, and thank you, Mr. for the explanation of that.
All right, any more discussions on the agenda?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When we changed it to the 4-day work week, we did a study, talked about the financial savings and all that kind of stuff. Did we do that this time? Whether or not it's gonna cost us more money to go back to 5-day, or what the deal was on that?
Part of that study was to save money by not having to have the buildings air conditioned and heated, and with the Department of Health being open on Fridays, you cut out that savings completely.
Can I get you something else? Okay.
And equally as important in Mr. Parker's comments, that it was also a benefit to employees, because at that point in time, remember, gasoline had got almost $4 an hour. So a gallon, $4 a gallon, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's close.
$4 an hour is what I'm getting paid today. But anyway, $4 a gallon, so it was a savings to the employee to cut back 20% of their savings on driving.
When did you get a raise?
Yeah, that's what I'm there. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just real quick, short, is that no other county around us is on a 4-day work week. When it was implemented years back, it was said by the previous administration that in 2 to 3 years, every county around us will be on a 4-day work week, but it never happened. So the key is that if you can't contribute the 4-day work week, going to a 5-day work week for employees leaving, because if you go to any other county, you're gonna work 5 days. So the key is that this board voted to go to a 5-day work week. DSS just happens to be one that's lagging behind because of different reasons. So when you look at it totally, we're all prepared. Mr. Merritt will be able to answer all these questions as far as the employees. But I can tell you, I've been to the supervisor meetings for DSS. I've been to the employee meetings over here at the Wayne Center, and they all are on board that let's go ahead and get it done, because we've been talking about it for 2 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, let's move on. Special recognition, we got employee service plans, and then we have public comments at 9:05, and at 9:30 we have a public hearing. I think Mr. David Harris is here for that. On the regulations and eligibility community development block grant programs for hurricane. Then we have another special recognition, and this is a financial report award, and you gonna
Right,
take care of that?
I'll cover that.
Okay. Then on our consent agenda, we got our applications for disabled veterans exclusions and for elderly and disabled exclusions, and I think they're all good to go, aren't they?
They are.
And Mr. Chairman, Joe Daniels with the National Honeybee Day in Wayne County group would like to thank you guys following that.
But they're not-
She'll want a minute to speak.
Okay, well, once we pass the consent agenda, what we'll do, we just ask for.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we got our budget amendments to go over. You want to go ahead and do those now, so we don't.
First budget amendment is for the sheriff's office, and by the way, I think the bulk of these, if not all of them, are reappropriations from the prior year. For the sheriff's office, we are reappropriating seized property, controlled substance, special programs, and the SCAP monies, which is the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. For services on aging, we're reappropriating unexpended donations at 1617 in the amount of $31,243.99. For the Maxwell Center Fund, we are reappropriating, the bulk of this is the actual building capital project funds, and then the remainder is some contingency funds that Well, it's actually fund balance that we're bringing forward in contingency, and as those expenditures come up, we will allocate them to the correct lines. Okay. For the health department, $4,000. They had some additional funds needed to cover annual maintenance cost, and that cost did not come in until the budget was submitted. So they are requesting appropriation for that and supporting it with the environmental health fees. For soil and water, there's two here for soil and water, and it relates to the grant monies they've received. One is for the Golden Leaf grant monies, and the other is for the disaster recovery. These are both reappropriations to support the stream debris removal project. That's number 39 and 40. For the sewer, reappropriating $177,916.21 for, this is also Golden Leaf monies to repair the Genoa Sewer Lift Station, or rebuild it. For Wayne Community College, there are two here. The first is a correction to the original budget. We had put some funds in capital outlay that actually should have been current expense monies. And the second budget amendment for Wayne Community College is to reappropriate unexpended funds at 1617. For Wayne County Public Schools, there are also two for them. One is to reappropriate some monies that were not paid out by year end, so we will reappropriate those and pay those out immediately. The second is for their Small Works Project Fund, and this is for their capital outlay fund, the unexpended amount at 1617 to bring that forward. For the library, this is to reappropriate their Smart Start grant funds for the Reed Wayne Early Childhood Literacy Initiative. There are two for Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. One is for the family preservation, the other is for teen court, and these were additional grant funds awarded, so they're adjusting to the actual grant amount. For the Jetport, this is a large one, but this is to reappropriate and bring forward all the grant monies that we anticipate from FAA and also the Eastern Region matches to those grants. For 21st Century, this is a grant under cooperative extension, and this is to reappropriate the funds related to that grant. And then finally, for wages, the Home Community Care Block Grant, this is to reappropriate their grant funds for 1718.
Are there any questions, Ms. Spade, on the budget amendments? Okay, moving on. Under new business, I think we got Mr. Fontana coming in. I saw him earlier. There he is over there. For the State of 5-year NCDOT Community Transportation Service Plan, but we'll wait until then. So you can do both of them at one time. We don't need a motion on that first part, do we? Number one. But on 1A, we'll need it.
I think,
Or
do we need to approve that, Fred, the 5-year plan?
No, you do not. And actually, on the road grants, you don't need to approve the application, you need to approve the allocation of the funds that's in the grant.
Right. And authorize me to sign that.
That's correct.
Okay.
But the CTSP, that's for information only.
Okay. I have to write it down because I won't remember that when we get there. And after that, we'll have Alan Lumpkin, he'll be coming up to talk about the settlement for the calendar year 2016. And I do believe we'll have to vote on that, will we not?
We do.
And then we're going to have the order directing to collect the taxes for the next year, and we'll vote on that as well.
You vote on that.
I hope that passes.
I think we might as well go home. And then we got some salary adjustments for public health as recommended by the Human Resource Director and County Managers. Geraldine gonna be here, or are you gonna handle that?
She's supposed to be here.
I know she's still hobbling on that knee.
Yeah.
And then there's another motion to approve salary adjustment for facility services recommended. And I guess you'll handle that as well. And then 6, we'll be having a public discussion of the city's public hearing on the proposed remove Musco Beach ETJ. And 7, we got the public property sale, and 8, we got the I can't even read my own handwriting. What was that last thing we had?
DSS.
DSS, okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask on item 6. You say having a discussion, is that a discussion of the board with the
Yeah.
county manager and attorney?
Yes, and all I'm doing there is I'm just updating you on what action the city's getting ready to take. They're holding a public hearing on this about backing up their.
So you just for informational
Yeah,
purposes?
it's for information,
Okay.
because you won't take any action on it.
Okay.
And the city manager asked if we wanted anyone here from there. I told them they were welcome to come, but all I was gonna do was update you on it. 'Cause-
We're not having a public forum over the
No,
matter?
no, this is strictly to,
Okay.
make you aware that they're holding a public hearing and what they intend to do with that.
Okay.
Okay, and after that, we'll have the county manager comments, and we've got board of commissioner comments, and I just want to remind the board that we have an 11:30 appointment across town, so whatever you got to say, please say it, but be very succinct. And if you got nothing to say, save it for next time. And we do need a closed session this morning, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is for,
To discuss the performance of a public officer, to consult with me to observe attorney-client privilege, and to discuss matters of expansion of business.
motion to go into closed session. Motion on the floor, all those in favor?